So good morning, friends. Welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. This could be a really tough video to put up. I'm not really sure how the response is going to go. I'm not really sure how I'm going to word this, but we're going to give it a shot, and we're going to talk about the epidemic of weak men. Ooh, child, you've put me in the hot seat, girls. You want me to do your dirty work for you. I recognize it. I understand. So here's the deal. Over recent weeks, I'll admit to you, out of my own personal issues of dealing with things with our family and farm and the status of things, I have not addressed this. And I keep getting so many messages about this. And today it just kind of convicted me to say, I guess I need to speak back on this because the hits keep coming. And the hits are, I have a slew, a good amount of women that are contacting me or will comment here and on Facebook and on Instagram. Now, I have had men, a couple of guys say this, not too many though, maybe two, just in a general form, saying that their spouse is not on board with trying to do things to future prepare their family. This mostly comes from women, and these women are in a state of fear and are in a state of panic, and they just do not know how to deal with. They feel they should be doing a certain amount of things for their family, their home, their pantry, their children, perhaps a farm, to ensure that they are as prepared for things in the near future or long-term future as best as they can. The problem is the husband is not on board. So I've had to kind of read a lot of different stories. Some of them are, rather short. So I'm having to pull from all of this to make a general statement and give some advice. But, ladies and guys too, if we were sitting down having some coffee and you were my best friend or my sister or whoever, this is what I'd say. So first and foremost, you have to understand, if you're coming to an individual and you kind of have an idea of what this person may say to you or is like, then you shouldn't be shocked by my answer. I don't think I come off as an individual that's sitting around waiting for somebody else to make things happen for me. And I personally think that is why my marriage with James, which is going on 25 years now, is why it has worked so well. I'm never going to say to you that we have a perfect marriage. Nobody does. And I'm not going to say to you that we don't fuss. We certainly do, because James and I are literally opposites in terms of personality. We really are. But the end result is our goals have always been focused on the same things. We may fuss or argue or fight or however you want to, and on the road to get to that goal. That's where we have differences. Simple things. I like ice cream. He likes brownies. We come together and we put the ice cream with the brownie. I eat a little bit more of the ice cream. He eats a little bit more of the brownie. We share the dessert. We've done good together, and we've met the end result. But here's the thing. James knows, and has always known, since the day we got together, since the day we were married, especially since we started having children a long time ago, that our children is number one. And so he understands and knows and respects that me as a mother, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to put it to the point where my children are in jeopardy in terms of not being able to have the very basics of life. That doesn't mean people deserve things just because we exist. What he knows and what he understands is I'm not willing to sacrifice these things just because he doesn't want to see something or doesn't want to address something. That's never been an issue with my family. So I'm having to come at you and give you advice from the point of which this is something I've never dealt with. And the reason I've never dealt with it is, number one, I didn't marry a man who was complacent in that type of mindset. Number two, I never accepted a man who was complacent in that type of lifestyle. So there's a lot of ins and outs here. You know, you have to look at the whole issue in terms of how has your relationship been overall? What has been tolerated or give and take on both sides? And it also needs to be a discussion in terms of where are you all at together spiritually together. So I want to start by saying that and lead you through what I'm about to say, because none of these scenarios are the exact same. So it's impossible for me to address all of them. But the bottom line is, there ain't no way in the world I would ever let my husband dictate to me that I can't put extra pasta on the pantry shelf, especially when I have children in the house. We have an epidemic of weak people in our country. We have an epidemic of weak men not leading in our country. Yep, I'm blaming the guys first. I'm sorry. We can talk about all the things in terms of gender roles. We can talk about how the breakdown of the family has happened. And this has been going on for years, generations, and decades. That's not the conversation that we're going to have here. I know that. I recognize it. That's a whole 1-hour episode. But the reality is what do you do today? When you look at today, seeing how basically inflation has just flamed in at 5.4% today on the news, when you understand the reality of going to get gas at the gas station, when you see groceries going up like they are, I make sure that my husband is fully aware of everything that I do every day. Not because I feel like I have to report to him, but I am keeping him in tune to what's going on. Ironically, the opposite is actually happening more than what I just described. My husband is very in tune with everything that's going on. He has a lot of concerns for things in our country, the route of our country, the progress of our country or non-progress of our country. He has concerns about his job. He has concerns about feeding our children. He has concerns about feeding our cows. So therein lies the problem, is you have to be fully aware of whether or not your spouse, your husband, is awake. Maybe it's your responsibility to open his eyes. Now, I'm going to go the gentle route and say, like I said before, you need to talk with your spouse. You need to pray with your spouse. You need to pray for your spouse. Perhaps you need to go speak to your pastor. I don't want to give advice on what I would do that would harm a woman or a child. So that, I want to make sure I've put that out there. But I'm telling you right now, if you were my sister or you were my best friend and you were coming to me scared to death saying, I am in so much fear and panic and my husband will not listen to me. In fact, I have had women say my husband is angry with me because I bought extra groceries. You're going to have to weigh out the balance in terms of what's worse. What's worse? Now, you have a responsibility in this as well. As I have joked about before on Facebook, and I think here a little bit, I don't know where all I've said it, but I'm like, don't confuse the man in terms of I need to buy and do more things to make our home more safe and sound. Don't mislead him into thinking that you're going to go buy a 10-inch Lodge cast iron for $23 today and you come home with a Louis Vuitton. Lodge and Louis are not the same thing. There's a lot of responsibility on who heads this up. Who runs that budget? See, I run the budget for our house. My husband works off the farm on most days. I run the farm. I'm in charge of overall homeschooling. I'm in charge of the farm situation. I'm in charge of paying the bills. I'm in charge of keeping us on a budget. I'm in charge of all of these things. So therefore, I've done that so long and it's worked so well, and I try to be so diligent with that. So when I come to my husband with, we need to do this, he goes, okay. Because he's already seen the fruits of my labors in the past in understanding, no, Patera doesn't buy $1,000 purses. No, Patera will drive a vehicle till the car wheels fall off. No, Patera is not wanting to go to Disney this year or ever. Patera's expectations of material things and expenditures is not something that he has to worry about. So therefore, when I come to him and I say, I think this is very important, we need to look at this, then he says, okay, and we look at it and we weigh it out. We put it up against all the things that we're doing. So you see, I don't just go out and just start going hog wild and buying things. I've already set the stage, and we have a precedence here of I'm the one that is sort of setting the tone. Now, I also go to my husband and I'll say things to him like, I'm coming to you with this because I have a concern about it, or we might need this item, but I don't know anything about it. If it's something for the vehicle, if it's something for the tractor, if it's something to do with, something, whatever, in terms of our home or our farm, I express my concern. I show prices, but he will say, okay, I'll look at it. I'll head it up and see what we need and see what we need to do. There is a give and take here. But what I'm telling you, ladies, is I've done my homework. So I don't want to throw the men out here in this instance and say they're just weak and they're not listening and they're not awake and they're not helping. You have a responsibility in this too. It is a joint effort. So my advice is, I would still be putting things away. Unfortunately, I think we have a lot of couples in this scenario where one is not seeing things and the other one is. And that is very scary for me to even talk about because, like I said, I'm broad brushing this issue. You have to sit down, ladies, and you need to look at your finances and you have to understand what they are. That is how relationships should work, especially when children are involved. At the end of the day, I would find a way to make things happen regardless. I'm sorry, I'm going to push against that. And somebody somewhere is going to tell me that I'm perhaps in their eyes or, going to pull out some scripture and throw it up in my face and tell me how I'm not being biblical. Because I get that, from time to time, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to have someone throw that up in your face. But what I'm holding on to here is the fact that at some point, and I fear some point very soon, your husband, in this conversation, your husband, for example, is going to wake up one day. And what a stressful, depressing, high anxiety moment that's going to be for a man with a wife and with children who is supposed to be the head of the household, who is supposed to be the leader in the community, who is supposed to be the stronghold of what is good and righteous, to realize he hasn't done his due diligence. So I come to this in a soft voice saying, because I think this is how my husband would be, I think he would thank me. I think he would thank me. I stress to people now to do the best they can every day. It's an everyday event right now, ladies. It's not once a week, yesterday, once next month. Folks, ladies, you're getting T-boned every single day with situations. And perhaps he is just doing the best he can to survive that stress and go to his job. I do know men that are like this. They see what's going on, but they cannot internalize it because there's so much stress at the jobs, at their workplace, trying to keep their jobs, make the health decisions, all of these unfortunate pressures that have been placed upon these men. Women too, but this is what the conversation is today, so I'm keeping it and trying to keep it in that way. Do your finances. Sit down today. Find ways to make it work regardless. I'm not telling you to ruin your relationship. I'm not telling you to necessarily defy your husband. But what I'm saying is I'm trusting and hoping and really believing that a lot of people, especially these men, are in a state of denial because of the stress and pressure. That's not an out. I'm not excusing it. I'm calling it by what I think a lot of it could be. And what I said before is when they wake up and they realize what this is and they are called to action, you've done a lot of work in the background. Pray, talk, do your homework, do your finances, talk to your pastor. Your pastor may not give you the same advice as I am. You're going to have to weigh that out. There's a lot of pastors these days, and I'm saying this, there's a lot of pastors out there that may not be worth a grain of salt. So you have to understand that also you have to weigh out who's giving you the advice and how that resonates in your spirit, because at the end of the day, you need to sit down with your finances and you need to talk to God. And that's your ultimate warrior in terms of giving you the ultimate advice. Not me, not a pastor, not your mama. It will be God. But if you're asking me what I would do, this would be my first approach. Because as a human, as a woman, as a caretaker, as a mother, I just don't feel a spiritually guided man that is truly awake and with his right senses at this moment would ever tell you, especially when you've done the budget, you've done the homework, you've done your due diligence. I just don't think he would tell you not to put the extra pasta on the shelf today. I just don't think that he would really truly be upset because you bought the extra peanut butter or the extra Campbell's or the extra pack of diapers. That's what I think. The rest is up to you. I hope this helps somebody. This is a very tough video to make because every single scenario is totally different. And I don't have both sides of the story. So I'm coming at a place of total a general sense. But I'm trusting at some point very, very soon, he's going to thank you. Stay safe, pray, stay very busy, ladies. I'm praying for you and your children and your husband. Because like I said, the day that he comes home and he looks around and he understands what's fully going on, it's going to be a very, very, very bad day for him. And you, above all, are his pillar. Be ready for that moment because it's coming. God bless y'all. Stay busy. I hope this helps. I come to you with this video from a place of trying to use good discernment and wisdom. We'll see you on the next video.